We are here today with the lovely Nia Marie, who you can't see because she's had power problems. Did you get hit by the tropical storm? Is that what happened?
Yeah, we actually lost power. We lost power last Wednesday. Our power didn't get restored back until late Friday evening. And then it flickered a little bit on and off because it's still a storm brewing. So it's like now Comcast, that's our internet provider, and PSENG, they're working hard to try to keep us as stable as possible. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Thank thank
So tell us about yourself.
Um, so my name is actually Tania. That is my actual name, Tania. I am a hoodoo worker. I am a hoodoo woman. I am a conjurer. I am a cancer survivor. Um, I am an entrepreneur. I am pro black as fuck. Like, I love every aspect of being black. Um, I support all levels of blackness, both the good and the bad. I'm not oh, we are only going to celebrate the black people who got college degrees. I'm celebrating all black people. I root for all black people, regardless. I am everybody's fancy aunt. Um, I I am the fancy aunt who drinks all the wine, smokes weed, and will cuss you out. That's who I am. I'm so active in my community. I'm about uplifting of especially Black children, making sure that they understand that they are valued, they are important, they are loved. I am about restoring the old ways of community. Community is very big to me. We miss out on community a lot um, within the Black culture because so many things are taken away from us, and we don't know how to restore those things. So that's where I come in. Um, Within my spiritual practices, I am a I I tend to call myself the harbinger of death. Um, and it's not even on the level of, oh, every time I come around something's gonna die per se. But if I start working with you and I start communicating with spirits for you, it is because a portion of you is about to die. Um, I am here to help usher you through that spiritual change of that portion of you needs to die in order for you to awaken in your new purpose. So that is my job. That's what I do. I make it easier for people to transition because that spiritual awakening and that spiritual transformation is hard, especially if you do not have a foundation, if you do not have people there to help guide you along the way. You will lose your mind because it will be so much. And a lot of times when things start happening and people don't know how to work it out, that's when people end up on all kinds of medications because they're thinking that, oh, she's schizophrenic. Oh, she's this, she's that. And 9 times out of 10, you're probably not none of those things. It's just you have so much going on spirit wise. And because there's nobody there to help you out, you know you fall apart. So that's where I come in at. I don't even go looking for anybody. They always find me somehow. They always find me. They always end up in my inbox. They always end up, whether it be on Instagram or Twitter, they always find me and they start pouring their hearts out to me. And these are people pouring their hearts out to me and don't even know me from a can of paint. They just pour it out to me and they're like, I don't even know why I'm telling you all this. And I'm like, yeah, I know why you're telling me all this, and I'm going to help you out along the way. So um, that's me. That's who I am.
I love it. So you mentioned a lot of things that I'll want to circle back to. The biggest one for me right now is community. Tell me how you build your community and structure it in a way that's supportive to you.
So for me, what I started doing when I needed to build community, I had to sit back and I had to look to see what is it that I feel like is lacking within my community amongst because I'm from the hood. I am hood all day. I did not move to the suburbs to get away to no, I'm right in the hood where I grew up at. Um, so it's like I do things to give back to that area. So I started looking at remembering when I grew up, something that, because again, I grew up in the hood, and being in the hood, it's a different lifestyle. It's a completely different lifestyle. It's not for everybody. If you're not from the hood, you're not going to understand the things that we do, we did, we experienced, and why we are okay with certain things. But I grew up, yes, we had drug dealers in our community. However, the drug dealers still put into our community as well. I remember them shutting down the block in the summertime and having cookouts specifically for the kid with the kids in mind. And I remember like huge ice cream trucks showing up and just making sure that the kids had stuff. I remember
The
back to school
dealers
time.
have money. This is something we don't like to talk about,
We
but
don't
we
like to,
have
we
to
don't
talk
like to
about the
talk about
money.
that. We don't like to talk about that they had money. And see, I grew up in a time when the drug dealers put money back into the community, even though like it was that double-ended sword, because here it is, they are drug dealers and they are you know providing something to our community that's ultimately destroying people in our community. But it's like at the same time there's that little portion of humanity in them that they're like, okay, you know what, let me give back, let me do something. And some people might have an issue with it. I had an issue with it, but I also appreciated the fact, because I remember like back to school time, they knew the parents that was out here on drugs. They knew the parents that was out here getting high and not taking care of them kids. And I know the drug dealers in our neighborhood literally every year did a back to school drive, made sure that the kids had clothes for school, made sure the kids had sneakers, had book bags and things like that, because they knew that their moms and their dads were on drugs. So they was like, you know what? Let me make sure that these kids is good, because their mama done use all their money, giving all their money to me. So let me make sure that these good kids are good. So, that is community. I am from a generation, I'm a lot older than I look. Um, but I am from a generation where we policed our own neighborhoods, where if something was happening, I remember my neighbor, her husband was beating her like severely, like tearing her up, and I could hear it. And I remember hearing that, and my mom was at the laundromat, and I ran from my apartment to the laundromat to tell my mom. And my mom came back to the apartment building with one of the guys from down the street, and they beat the man up and got the man off of her and put him out. Like, we policed our own community back in the day. And
Well, because calling the cops for that in the 70s and the 80s, hell, today, it's not always worth much.
it's not because nothing's going to be done. So it's easier for us to police our own communities and take care of our own communities and do what we have to do. I'm working to bring that back, like to be there for neighbors. People make the joke about, oh, borrowing a cup of sugar from your neighbor, but that's community. Like, that is people. You never know who may be going through something and they need something. Like, we need to bring that back to one another and be there for each other, because that's the only way we're going to survive. Is if we bring back community. If you look at um, you know, when slavery was, I don't want to say it was abolished, but when it was lessened, when they was kind of free-ish, we built communities and we worked together as Black people to build a strong foundation that was for us. We had our own everything. We had our own schooling. We had our own, little general stores. We provided and we made sure. And we have to get back to that. So, I when people need, I show up. You know, if you need spiritually, I show up if I can. If you need financially, I show up. I try to show up for people to show them that, look, this is what we need. I have a girlfriend who is currently studying to become a death doula, and she made that decision, and she was like, I got to do this. This is how much it costs. And I'm like, well, how much is it? And she's like, well, it's this amount of money, but it's kind of high. I said, okay, well, that's what you got us for. That's what community is for. We need to figure out how to raise this money for you, because this is what you want to do. This is what you want to do, and we believe in you. So we need to raise this money for you. So here, I'm starting it now. Here go $100 right now towards what you need to do. and we're going to start that. And now people are outpouring and they're giving because that's what we need. This is how we get back to where we're supposed to be. If we sow into one another and stop worrying about um what other people are going to think. This is how, if you look at other races and you look at other communities, you know they sow into each other. They help build into each other. That's why they're able to come and buy up our blocks, because they put into each other. So it's now I'm trying to get people to understand that that's what we need to do. That's how we need to be. We need to start putting back into our areas. This is a good time for us to start doing it because we tired. These babies are tired. They tired. They done tore these cities up, and I'm standing with them, and they're tearing it up because I get it. They're tired. They've been peaceful for long enough. So now they're like, hey, we tired of this. So this is the opportunity now for us to come back and reclaim our communities and rebuild our communities to suit our standards.
So tell me very specifically, what are the mechanics of that? If we've got somebody in the community, are you starting GoFundMe's? Are you walking around the neighborhood shaking the cup? Literally, what does that look like to get the money to the people who need it?
It literally looks like shaking the cup. It literally
Okay.
looks like going to people and being like, listen, this is what I want to do. It's something as simple as, you know, this building, you have a specific building in your area that this building is abandoned. You know who owns this building. You know what I'm saying? Let's figure out how we can get this building. Can we rent this building? Can we buy this building? We need this building. This could become a community center. What do we need to do? We need to start opening our mouths and speaking and saying what it is that we need. And a lot of times we are so closed off that we don't want to express what we need financially to people because we're afraid that people are going to tell us no, because we usually get no all the time. But we have to start speaking that out. So it is, it literally is ultimately going to people and asking, like, hey, can you donate to this? Like I'm launching my business, which is called Sacral Unleashed, and it is ultimately a metaphysical sex shop. That's what it is. It's all about bringing spirituality and sexuality together because they go hand in hand. And it's about helping women reclaim that portion of their selves and their sexiness and their beautifulness, because most of us, we don't even know how to be beautiful for ourselves. We don't know how to be sexy for ourselves. Everything we do is for the approval and the likes of others. And it's like, okay, I get it. You got this lingerie on, but do you got that on because that's what you want to wear? I want you to put stuff on because that's what you want to wear. I want you to be sexy because this is sexy to you. So I have my business that I'm starting and I'm launching, and I did crowdfunding. Like, I came to my community and I was like, listen, this is how much money I need to raise. This is what I need to do. I did a crowdfunding on PayPal and was like, hey, give me some money, please. like, like put money into my business, because this is what I want to do. And my community came out and they started giving me money and they started putting into it because they believed in what I was doing and they know what I want to do for our community. So they gave it. So it's there. That's how it is. That's how you get it. You got to open your mouth and ask for
Okay. So you've utilized community structure to fundraise for yourself and for other people. Tell me, what else can we do on the community level that will, let's talk about things like neighborhood gardens and how we're using community centers. How can we build those and make those actually functional?
it. So to build, like, for community gardens, it just comes down to, you have the space, it's available. Put it out there. Let the people know, like, hey, we have this plot of land. We want to turn this into a community garden. Again, use your voice. Speak up. If you see this and you have a piece of land and you know that, it's available, say that you have it. If you see it, that it's available, hey, do you think we can have a community garden right here? What about this land? Because it's nothing for us to go to the city hall and see who owns this property. What's going on with this land right here? Can we use this? Can we take this? It's just sitting here. It's all about opening your mouth, and then as far as like getting like community centers to run effectively, it's about putting the right people in place. to run these things. Everybody, your cousin Danny can't run everything. Just because Danny, was a Boys and Girls Club leader when he was 13, don't mean he could run this center. You got to put real people in place who have the same drive, who see the same vision that you have, who are not coming into it on some type of profit type stuff. Oh, I'm just doing this because I want to make money. On it more or less like I'm doing this because this is what I want to do for the community. I want to make sure that our kids have a place to go. Our kids have somewhere to go. Our kids have something to do, somewhere safe to be. So we have something safe within the community that people can rely on.
So practically, we've got a lot of things that we can build and do. Who are we looking at in terms of leadership? Because that's kind of the question, isn't it? How do we encourage the leaders to come up and take over some of these things?
Um, I mean, it's it's all about, it's your voice. You like, are you talking to people? The problem is we are no longer communicating with one another. We don't communicate, and I feel like if the coronavirus didn't teach us nothing else, it is forcing us to learn how to communicate again with one another. Um, we have to communicate. We know the people who are the movers and shakers in our neighborhoods. We know the people who are the people that are pounding the pavement and out here doing the physical work and the labor. We know that. But here's the other thing is that everybody isn't meant to lead. Just because I have leadership qualities don't necessarily mean that I'm meant to lead. I may not be meant to lead on that level. So we have to use, you know, we just have to really tap into using common sense when approaching people to do certain things. You want to make sure that the people that you are putting in charge actually have a background in doing something. Like, again, you just don't want to just get some random off the street and be like, okay, this is our chief financial officer. And now you're trying to figure out why we missing $1 million. You know, it's
It's
because
key.
you got somebody in here who can't manage that money. That's why.
And we have to pay them what they're appropriately worth to make sure that we keep them and they're in our in embracing the vision, right?
Right.
So let's talk about what your life, you've built this amazing community and it sounds like you're growing it more. How does that protect you?
How does my community protect me?
How have they shaped or enhanced your life? Yes.
So I actually have an amazing, amazing, amazing community of people who, when I say they show up for me. Regardless of whatever is going on in my life, they show up all the time for me. Um, they provide me with everything that I ever need, whether it be financial, mental, spiritually, they provide it. They come and they're there. Um, it's a lot, especially when you are someone who is a medium and you can tap into other people's feelings and you can absorb other people's feelings. It takes a lot, and since sometimes I do become overwhelmed and I start to shut down. And when I feel that, and it's like the people that are in my circle, they know immediately when I start shutting down, and they all step in, and they're all instantly, and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take care of this. You stop doing, like, they all step in, they start delegating amongst one another to make sure I'm okay. So I made sure to cultivate a very detailed crew of people around me. Like my community is, they are all handpicked, and they are all there for a reason, and they support me. So like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, honestly, at all.
So you use your community to structure your support systems. And I imagine that's come from lots of years of trial and error. What has it been like for you when it wasn't there?
Chaos, pure, complete chaos. That's what it was, because I thought I could do everything on my own. I thought that um, I don't need nobody to do nothing because I am a very controlling person, and it yeah, I had to learn to relinquish control and allow other people to do things for me, to allow, because I'm so used to doing things for myself when I want it, how I want it, and that's just that. So before community, I was a wreck. I was a mess. I really was a mess because I was doing everything. My hands was in every single pot and I was burning myself out tremendously.
So, what have you let go of?
Ego, ego.
That's
That's
important.
that's the main thing I let go is my ego, because my ego allowed me, my ego was holding me back because again, I'm so controlling. I want to be in charge. I want to do this. No, I don't want nobody to get credit for doing my idea. You know, yeah. No, I definitely, my ego was the biggest thing that I had to let go. And once I let my ego go, and then I started respecting people for their skills and their abilities, and understanding that there are people out here who are better than me at certain things, and it's okay to let them do it. I got better, and things became easier for me.
So, that improves your magic on a base level. What are you good at?
Magic wise, um, I am. I know. I usually know stuff about you that you don't ever talk to anybody about, ever. Again, I am connected with death, so it goes into shadow work. So that deep dark stuff that you got hidden inside of you, I bring it out, and I usually know about it, and I'll somehow your folks will start talking to me and will say something to me that'll result in me saying something to you, and you'll be sitting here like, how do you know this? That is, I'm here. I'm telling you, I'm here to help you die so that you can be born again. And so it's just more or less, that's my gift. That is my gift, to know. I do see things, I smell stuff, I know when they're here. I always tell them, please don't just pop out on me, because if I see you, I know I'm a freak out. Um, but they make themselves known to me all the time by sense. I'll smell somebody, I'll feel something. One of my friends, her grandma, she was going through, her grandma passed away, and she was doing some stuff, and her grandma hit me up, and I was just like, I was like, hey, you need to do XYZ or whatever, and blah blah blah, and I just said all this stuff to her, and she was like, if that ain't my damn grandma, like, because everything I said to her was definitely something that her grandma would say to her. And she was like, I'm doing it right now. She was like, I already heard her the first time, but she knew I wasn't doing it. So yeah, I definitely, that is my gift, is to yeah, is to hurt your feelings. That's probably my gift, is to really hurt people's feelings and get them all upset.
There's tremendous work to be done in the shadows, especially right now. It, the last week have certainly revealed to me that the love and light warriors are about fucking useless. No, they are not able to carry the weight of this work that needs to be done. And so they just deny its existence.
Right. Absolutely. And they do that. And, the whole love and light, I am not love and light. Me go on record right now. So just in case anybody
I'm not
decides
shocked.
that they decide they want to send me a friend request, just know I am not love and light. I do not believe, I definitely believe an eye for an eye. I am not that person. So if that's what you're looking for, fine. But this is not the time for us to be love and light. Right now, we are honestly, we are at war right now. This is not love and light time. It's either you are either going to stand with us or you will be cut down. Just like like we don't have time for this love and light. You can't love and light your way out of this. Like love and light got us into this, I
Yeah, I
believe.
think we're well past that.
Right.
So, when we talk about spiritual death and we talk about bringing those things up, it's a traumatic process for people. How do you work with someone who's really in the throes of that emotional death?
Um so usually I usually prepare that person in advance of what they're going through. And we start off with different things. Like I may give them a prescription. Because again, I am a hoodoo practitioner, so hoodoo works a little differently than other things. I may give them a script to do certain things, whether it be spiritual baths and they have to do certain things. They may need to read certain scriptures and so forth. And I walk them through that process of preparing them for what they're about to go through, the purge that's about to happen, that disconnect, that separation. Usually by the time I get to the person gets to me, they're literally at that point of they're literally about to die. So it's like I need to be there to help you along this way so this part of you can just go ahead and die off so you can start this new journey so I can hand you off to other people who are able to help you get through this walk, because that's probably not my calling to help you through your walk, because again, I am a mess. So I'm like, I listen, everybody else, everybody don't need to be as radical as I am. So I'm just here to help you, that portion of you to die and then just come back in. And usually, like I said, I usually do spiritual baths. I do readings with people to see where they're at, to help them identify the things that they need to work on. um, if their folks come through, 9 times out of 10 they do come through very hard, and when they do come through, I give them whatever necessary messages need to be done. A lot of times it is ancestral things that need to be done, ancestral healings that need to be done, because there is trauma that has been put into our DNA. So it's just been over the years, and you just taking it on and taking it on and taking it on. So when you're at that point of that breakthrough, it's like, okay, you're at that point of the breakthrough. Here I am. Let me help you. It's okay to let go. I let them know it's okay to let this portion go. It's okay. We're going to let it go so I can give you something better. I'm gonna give you something better that's going to be better than that. So once they get to that point and they trust and they're enough, they're like, okay, I can let it go so that they can go ahead. And every single time I always get a message like, I don't know what I would have did without you, because to help them get through that portion, because they didn't know what to do, because they were like, what's happening to me? Why do I feel like this?
So, you are Hoodoo. You are the only guest I have had so far that is, which is, there's a lot of, I think, interesting ideas in the community that if you are Black, you must therefore be Voodoo or Hoodoo, which is patently false. Talk to me about how you came up into the tradition and what it looks like in terms of who can use this magic.
Okay, so um
No, really, go there. I mean it, go there.
Hoodoo is black all day, every day, period. I don't care if your great great grandma, Hoodoo is black. If you do not have black parents, if you do not identify as black, you should not be practicing hoodoo, period. I don't care how you feel about that. I don't care if that bothers you. Hoodoo is black. This is a black African based tradition. And as a non-black person, because I don't use people of color, because I'm not a person of color, I'm black. So as if you are not black, you should not even want to be a part of hoodoo, because my question is, what spirits are you calling on? Who you calling on? I know you ain't calling on your racist great grandma. Like, who you calling on? Like, are you like who? Like, how you feel as though you calling on High, the spirit of High John? What? That's our spirit. That's High John was a slave. Like, are you serious? Like, he, what you calling on him for? Like, even within death, you want him to work for you? Like, come on now. Like, we not doing this. Hoodoo is black, and it's too. I see way too many non-black people practicing hoodoo, claiming hoodoo, saying that it's folk magic, saying it's American, saying that it's a combination of African and European and Native American. No, it's not. No, it's not. You know, there are companies which I'm not going to mention. I'm pretty sure everybody knows them. There,
At least I do, that's for sure.
there are two companies in particular who exploit the hell out of hoodoo, who exploit the hell out of blackness, and have no business being a part of it. And this is why you see such a rise in black people coming out openly saying that they practice hoodoo, coming out openly, because we realize that our tradition has been watered down so much, and you got people out here doing foolish shit like a butter spell candle. Get some butter and rub it on a candle and wrap it in bread and what, girl, what? Who is doing all of that? Our ancestors weren't using no butter. Butter was expensive. They weren't using that. Like, what, are you serious right now? But this is what they put out there. So when you have people who don't know nothing about the tradition and they go to do a Google search on Google, on Hoodoo, the first thing comes up are those two companies, and their watered down mess, I call it just add water Hoodoo, because that's what it is. It's just add water Hoodoo. Our traditions, a lot of our traditions were lost to us
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, we weren't allowed to practice the way we should practice. And then because we were conditioned to believe that the white way was the right way, we had to kind of like fall back from our traditions. So the younger generation didn't want to learn it because no, you got us looking stupid. These white people think we're crazy because we're doing XYZ, not realizing that these are our traditions. These are things that we did. These things kept us alive. These things kept us fed. These things kept us financially secure, So I am very honored to see so many young people coming back to hoodoo and wanting to learn hoodoo and want to learn the traditional ways of doing hoodoo. I was not. I grew up Pentecostal. Um, if you know anything about the Pentecostal church,
I do.
um,
It's a
listen,
it's a shift, that's
yeah,
for sure.
I grew up Pentecostal. And within Pentecostal, see the way the church breaks down is, especially the black church, okay, because there's a big difference between church and the black church. So the black church, was created specifically for the enslaved Africans for them to worship together. Okay, that was there, and the slave owners knew, they let them have it because hey, you guys are learning the word of God, their version of the word of God. That's what you're learning, but not realizing that we were continuing some of our own traditions that we had to mask and hide within Christianity, which is fine. So when you have certain denominations like Pentecostal people are known for speaking in tongues. That is something that not everybody can speak in tongues. Everybody cannot do that. But Pentecostals can. And usually when you're slain in the spirit, that is a possession. That's what's happening. People think that, oh, that's just the Holy Spirit. You're okay. That's, if you just look at it like this. If you've ever looked at a white church of Christians and then look at a black church of Christians, if we start shouting and that Holy Ghost and that Holy Spirit comes on, it is a ripple effect through that entire black church. Every person in there will be on their feet. Whether that spirit takes them over, but they will feel that energy and they have no choice but to move. If you look at a white church, you never see that. in their churches. You don't see them shouting. You don't see them catching the Holy Ghost. And the only time you do see that type of um, response is when there is a very heavy presence of Black people in that church. That is the only time you will see that. So that lets you know that our magic is real and our magic is strong, because only we, no one will ever praise the way we praise. When you see that, I've seen white people come to Black churches and they can't even help but start moving when somebody catch the Holy Spirit. And they're like, what is going on? Yeah, you ain't got no choice but to move, because that spirit is in here right now. And our ancestors are in here, and they're in here and they're running. So they don't necessarily realize who you are, but you're going to catch a piece of it. You're going to feel it. So people know that our magic is real, and people want to have a part of it. And which is why I see so many people wanting to market and profit off of Hoodoo, because they know that it's real. Because you're not going to tell me all these other religions that you got access to, but you want to focus on this one. Why? Why are you so pressed to focus on this particular religion? Why? Because you know that that magic is real, and you want a piece of it so bad, and you want to be a part of it so bad. But unfortunately, you're never going to fully be a part of it, because what runs through my body doesn't run through yours.
Exactly. How do you use magic that doesn't belong to you? There's lineage matters. Where the tradition comes from matters. And the attempt to appropriate it really is, it's not just damaging to you, but it's damaging to them too. They can't work with that energy.
Right. Like, how do you feel comfortable? Like, I feel like the audacity of you, like, you have the unmitigated gall to really sit here and put yourself in our tradition, and put yourself in our tradition as a leader in our tradition. No, you're a guest. Act accordingly. Act like a guest. You're not, you shouldn't even feel comfortable coming into our tradition and taking over our tradition and saying, oh, I'm the leader and I'm the authority of this. The one woman with her company, she says right on her website, if you want to practice Hoodoo from me, you have to prove that you're Black. Huzzy, you ain't Black. Like, how dare you tell me I gotta prove to you that I'm Black and you not Black? What's your ugly self? Oh, she makes me mad.
So, okay, give me some better resources, please.
So, I mean, Black people, you want to practice Hoodoo? You looking to get into Hoodoo? My number one thing is to talk to your folks. Talk to your elders in your family. And it's not as simple as, do not go to them and say, y'all practice Hoodoo? Teach me Hoodoo. Because I'm going to tell you
No.
now, they are going to shut down and they're not going to tell you anything. It is as simple learning about your family, learning about your roots, learning about who was a conjure woman or a conjure man, who was a root doctor. Learning these things takes time, and you have to ask questions, and you got to know how to ask questions. You talking to your grandmom or you're talking to your auntie, whoever, ask stuff like, oh, back in the day, like this is how I did it. I had a toothache and I was like, oh, my tooth is really hurting. So I called my aunt, my great aunt, and I called her and I was like, hey, my tooth is hurting. I was like, can you give me something that I can do that's not going to be me taking medicine? What did you used to have to do back in the day when you had a toothache? And she like ran down a whole list. She was like, yeah, you're going to do this, this, and this, and then you're going to tie this around and you're going to put it here and then you're going to do this and you're going to do that. That's Hoodoo. That was pure Hoodoo. But you got to know how to ask the questions. So you need to be asking questions. Just ask simple things like, how do I do something? Or how did you guys do this back in the day? How did you guys, get this done? What did this mean back in the day when something happened? Like, little stuff, you can get them to start telling you things. And the more you start asking questions, and especially when you're asking them in a safe manner, that they don't feel like, because, it's still a closed off tradition. It's still a closed off practice. So people still don't want to talk about it. Older generations, they don't want to talk about it. They're like, because it's something that is supposed to be kept within the family, because hoodoo is practiced differently amongst families. Like, we all have our base, but each family has their own way of doing certain things. So certain things are kept within the family. So that's when you have to start asking questions and write it down. Write down what they're saying as you're doing it and you're listening. And you know, something so simple, setting up an ancestor altar to a person that you guys could visit is probably like the Afro Mystic. She's on Facebook. Her name Afro AFRO Mystic MYSTIC. She has like a whole thing where she does stuff about ancestor veneration and things of that nature, about how to set up an altar. Set an altar up. Don't overthink setting up an altar to your family members. 9 times out of 10, if you are Black, I hope you're Black trying to do hoodoo. I cannot stress this enough. Please be Black trying to practice hoodoo. But usually within Black families, even not even just Black families, I know within my Latin friends, um, they always have a cabinet that has tons of pictures of family members
Hmm.
from years and years ago. That's technically an altar. you know that right there is an altar, because it's family members all from all over, people who have passed on, people, all there. That's an altar. You can start off something simple, very small. You don't necessarily have to have pictures. If you don't have pictures, it's okay. You don't have to. You can light a candle, add some water on your altar for them, and just sit there and talk. A lot of people say to me, how do you talk to your ancestors? The same way you talk to God, you know
So, do you have anything for people who are displaced? That is very common in Black families, adoption, with foster care. What do you do when you don't have a family to talk to?
So when you don't have a family to talk to, because it does happen, you just got to start from where you're at. Period. Start from right where you at. If you don't know any of your folks, guess what? It's fine. There's somebody. You got some. There's somebody there. There's some spirits there. There's something there. My number one thing will be to always like get a divination. Find a reader. There are some really great people. The person Ty. Ty is a great reader. You can go to Ty Johnson Anderson. You can go to her. She will get you right. There are um, so many. The girl that I mentioned earlier, the Afro Mystic, she does divinations. There are so many people that you can get a divination done who can help start leading you on a path of finding out who you actually are. Ancestry.com, even though it's very controversial, I know we have issues with it because everybody's like, oh, our DNA, our DNA. Listen, if you've been to the hospital, they got your DNA already. At this point, they already got it. Unless you done told them, I need to go home with all my parts every time you get something done at the hospital, they already got your DNA. So at this point, just keep moving. Go to ancestry.com. They usually always end up having a sale. Get get that swab done, find your lineage, because that's a start. That's a huge start. I don't know a lot of my family. I do have a huge family. I do not know them all. I went to Ancestry and all of a sudden it just ballooned. All of a sudden now I got all these cousins and so forth, which was great, because now I'm able to piece things together and I'm able to put stuff together. So ancestry.com is a good way to start if you are displaced. But even if you are displaced, do not allow that to hinder you, because uh-oh.
I'm back. I'm
Okay.
back. We cut out for a minute. So the last thing you were talking about was ancestry, get your lineage. What do you do once you have it?
Once you have your lineage, you find out exactly where you start finding out where your folks are from. And once you start finding out, and with an ancestry, usually some hits will come up, and even if it's just one little leaf, that one little leaf, because that's what it happened for me. It was one little leaf. One little leaf turned into like 400 people. Before I knew it, it just kept opening and opening and opening, to where when I ended up meeting one of my cousins, and he's like our family historian, and he introduced me to so many people. So it was amazing. So you got to start from where you're at, and just don't allow just don't let not having all the information right then and there stop you from connecting with your ancestral magic. Don't let that stop you because it's there. We just got to figure out how to get into it for you, and there are steps, like I said, there are steps that can be done so you can start figuring out who you are and where you come from and who your folks are, and start working with them so that you can start living the best life that you deserve.
And that's the root of the magic, right? It
Right.
comes from our line. So that's what we have to find, that's what we have to trace, and that's what we have to devote our energy to.
Correct. I agree.
Okay. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. What else do you have for me?
um I don't know what else I have. I just want everybody to understand that there is no right or wrong way to practice your magic. You know, um, one thing I always tell everybody under me, that your relationship with God is just that, yours. I can't tell you how to talk to God. I can't tell you how to communicate. I can't tell you how God's going to show up for you. He shows up for everybody differently. She, however you, whatever you want to call God, you know, um, don't let nobody try to tell you how your magic is supposed to be. Your magic is tailored specifically to you. No two people are the same. You have to stand in your own power, and you have to stand strong in it and not allow anybody else to break that foundation. Um, it's okay to speak up about injustices. You don't have to be love and light. I really will. I really want people to stop this love and light stuff because it really annoys me. Because love and light will get you punched. Like, love and light.
It,
Like,
or it should.
and I'm like, even if you wanted to be love and light, like if you break it down through Christianity, Jesus wasn't love and light. Like Jesus was a whole warrior. Like
I don't understand love and light in almost any religion. There is
oh,
no actual precedence for it other
at all.
than choosing to be blind.
Love and light is, to me, love and light is the equivalent of all lives matter, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It is okay if you are a white person listening to this and you feel as though you want to understand how to, be a better ally and what should you do. You know what you need to do. You don't need no black person to tell you what to do. You don't need a black person to explain to you. You know what's going on. You see it going on. You know what we going through. Show up. You either going to show up or you going to be quiet. Period. Like, show up and do what you have to do. Stand on the front line with us. Make sure it is not always about being out here in protest. Sometimes use your voice, use your privilege. Get out here, you know, get out here and make shift happen, because you have the ability to make it happen. Not sit on the internet asking us, "Oh, well, what should I do? How can I be better? How what can I do to help you?" Well, y'all can start by giving us reparations, but that's something totally different. If you want to start something, you can start there. But
Well,
be
let's
at
talk about that. How can we very specifically help you right now? Do you have classes? Is there anything you're selling besides the
I
store
am
that's
I
coming?
am still raising money for my to launch my company, to launch my ministry, Sacral Unleashed. If you would like to donate to that, I am totally okay with you donating to that. And no donation is too small. You want to help, you want to be an ally, you want to help. So money into Black people that are doing community work. So money into Black people who are trying to do the work, who are trying to rebuild our communities that have been destroyed by people who ultimately look like you, people who ultimately are, their lineage is your lineage. That's how you help us. So I take donations on Cash App, I take donations on PayPal. Either way, I accept them all and I'm appreciative of them all. Those are the ways that you can help me, because honestly, the rest of the work is the work that I'm doing
I will
financially.
grab links from you and I will drop them in my comments and show notes for this.
I appreciate that. I so appreciate that.
because that's what it's about. If we're actually going to rebuild our communities, then we need money to do so.
We need money to do so, and it is a proven fact that Blacks are we are not afforded certain luxuries. We don't have, certain things. We don't come from money. We don't come from, parents and trust funds and things of that nature. And I'm not saying that all white people come from that, because I definitely know plenty who don't come from that. But there are many who do come from that and do have that ability. And if you have that ability and you have that money and you have that, sow that money into a Black person. Go randomly find Black people and give them $5, $20. Here goes some lunch on me. You think it's not going, you think it's unnoticed, but it's noticed. We appreciate it. You might not get the response that you want, but it's definitely appreciated. Sow into Black people. You see these Black organizations that's out here fighting. You see these Black people out here bailing people out. I've bailed people out. I think I've spent about $2,500 bailing people out, giving money towards bailing people out because of the protest. Give money. Put money out there. Get out there and use your abilities, your skills, and things that you have. Because I feel like if they able to raise all this money for a police officer who committed the murder, like, clearly y'all got money. Clearly.
Clearly.
You guys clearly got money. So how about y'all put some of that money into our hands, because we out here doing the work. We trying to make a better life for us. We just trying to exist. That's it. We just want to exist. That's it.
And money moves. So the more you're giving out and putting into the community, the more it's going to come back to you.
Right. You're right about that.
Well, my dear, this has just been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're so welcome.
You for joining me. And we will have links and stuff available in the comments for y'all to donate. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.